So once you have a slab rolled out, then you can cut different shapes from it. So if I needed to make a fin for a fish, I could draw that in the clay. And then if I'm happy with how it looks, I would cut it out. So notice I didn't go all the way to the back that way. If I didn't like that, I can just kind of go over it and redraw. Once you're happy with the shape that you've created, then you cut that clay away by pressing it all the way down to your newspaper. Keep your stick straight up and down. We have these wooden skewers to use. They're kind of big, but they work really well. So now I have my shape. So any shapes that you make out of the slab should be about the thickness of your pinky. You don't want them to be too thick, but if they're too thin, they can crack. So these slabs are nice that you can draw the different shapes that you need and then cut them out. Another technique with the clay is making a pinch pot. So with a pinch pot, you want to start with your clay into a sphere. So I'm going to kind of take this clay and push it back and forth in my hands. Now this clay piece has been used a couple times, so it's a little on the dry side. Softer clay definitely works better for a pinch pot, but I'm going to do my best. So once you have put it into a sphere, you can roll it a little bit. Then you're going to hold it with your non-writing hand. You want your strong hand available. So I'm going to put my strong writing hand underneath my hand that's holding the sphere. Thumb goes on the top, push straight down in, and you're just kind of drilling a little thumb hole. So this goes down pretty far. You don't want to have a really thick bottom on the bottom of your pinch pot. Remember, clay always should be about the thickness of your pinky. So thumb goes the whole way down. Fingers and thumb are going to pinch together, not pinching like this. The whole finger is pinching. So I'm squeezing the clay in my hand and turning this so it opens up. So this hand is doing the turning, this hand is doing the pinching. You don't want to be pinching way up here because this will be thin and the bottom of your pot will be thick. You want to make sure that you're not pinching just down here, or it'll be opposite. It'll be thin in the bottom, thick on the top. So evenly pinching. So I'm squeezing the entire piece of clay in my hands. And you'll see some parts kind of separate a little bit, especially if the clay is dry. So you might just have to kind of use a thumbnail to cover those little cracks and things up. This happens especially if you have to redo your pinch pot over and over again. So you decide how far you need to open up your pinch pot. Again, should still be about the thickness of a pinky. And pinch pots are nice because you can use them to make bigger pieces of your clay objects, whatever it is that you're making, so that you can either put two together and then put a hole to make it hollow. You always have to make sure that there's an air hole in your clay. So this, if I put like a slab on the bottom of it, would be all this like a big giant air bubble, which the air expands in the kiln and it would shatter it. So if you have any areas that have a hollow space that's covered, you need to let me know so we can drill a hole through it. So, and there is our pinch pot. Another clay technique is called a coil. So you'll get a chunk of clay and then you're going to want to squeeze it into a long, like a hot dog shape. And you squeeze it, and then you're going to take just the palm of your hand, not your fingers, and you're going to roll it across the table. So I wouldn't do this on newspaper. So roll it across the table. So start one side and then work your way to the other side. So rolling back and forth like you're making a clay snake. And you don't want to be pressing down. You're very gentle, light pressure, just rolling with the palm of your hand. So notice not using my fingers at all. So rolling from one side to the other. If you're having a hard time or if this is staying too thick, then you probably just need to either use less clay, so maybe squeeze it a little bit more so it's not as thick, and then roll it out from there. But coils should be pretty flexible so that you can make different designs with them. They work great as long as they're not too thin. Remember, always thickness of a pinky is a good rule to have. Obviously, for some designs, if you need to make them a little bigger, a little thinner, you can, but that's when they work best, when they're about the thickness of a pinky. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to join clay pieces. Now, let's say that I am going to put this fin on this piece of clay. So I've got this piece of clay ready to go. I can't just stick this on there. It does stick for now, but when it is fired in the kiln, that's just going to pop right off. You have to score and slip. If you don't, when it comes out of the kiln, it'll be obvious that you didn't. So scoring, sometimes we use the edge of the skewer. Sometimes I give out toothbrushes. A toothbrush works nicely too because of the texture on the edges. It kind of makes all those little scratch marks. So I could do the scratch marks on the piece and where I plan on joining it. And then you need slip. Slip is just clay and water mixed together. It makes this like sludgy glue. So you just need a little bit of slip. You don't want to overdo it. And then you join the two pieces, pressing them together. And it's always a good idea to try to blend the clay on. You can kind of smooth it out around it. That helps to keep it joined on.